Okay, welcome to my third and final video. I am excited to wrap up and show this to you. Again, my name is Justin. This is my capstone project, and I chose to do capstone one, which was the bad bank. I'll try to go quickly as possible. I really appreciate you guys bearing with me through the first two videos, but I thought it would be helpful to show you all the time and effort that I put into this project, and that I have really tried to go slow to make sure that I'm grasping and having an understanding of what's happening as I'm doing it. All right, so with that said, I will now show you the basic functionality of our application, which is outlined in the rubric. So first is account access. Let's create an account. Let's call it, we already use Zeus. Let's call it Athena Goddess AG at olympus.com. Password immortal 2 final video. So let's see, we can successfully create an account, submit, view account balance. Okay, so now let's demonstrate the deposit and the withdrawal functionality. So I'll jump ahead. Actually, you know what? I'll come back to it later. So deposit, enter a balance, $100, complete transaction. Awesome. Withdraw, $200. Oh, you can't because you only have $100 in the account. This is one of the additional features that we built in for input validation. Let's see, go back to 50 when we still have 100, complete transaction. All right, it works. Let's try that again. So let's withdraw $51. Nope, can't do it because you only have 50 in your account. So let's deposit some more money. So deposit 50 more. Great, now we have 100, so we can withdraw that 51. Awesome. And we built in some more input validation. So if you try to complete a transaction without specifying deposit or withdrawal, you get this little nice input validation response to guide the user to make everything super intuitive. Because we didn't want to be able to allow, one of the design decisions I made, to allow negative numbers. I thought it just made things a little bit messy and doesn't seem to be very common if you've ever used an online banking platform. So look, we added this input validation as well. So if you try to complete transaction, oh, that's the first validation. You have to just select one. And then if you hit withdrawal, it says, please enter a positive number. So basically the only integer, or I guess float, that this will accept is something that's positive. Oh, see, it's more than 59. So withdraw 45. Transaction. All right, great. So that is that functionality. Feel free to try it on your own. Then we can log out. And then now let's log in. So we created that new user, which was Athena, I think, and Immortal 2. Well, let's actually show you some validation here first. So let's try that. So we'll say email or password may be incorrect or not exist at Olympus. Let's do that and go back to the wrong password. Same thing. Good input validation there and authentication. Immortal 2, submit, beautiful, works, view account balance. Again, back to our account balance with the saved account balance stored persistently in our database. All right, hope you enjoyed that. That should cover pretty much all the functionality, but again, feel free to come back and use it on your own. I'll be submitting the link when I do my formal submission of all the documents. Deployment, how did we deploy our app? So we deployed our app on DigitalOcean. We actually deployed both on DigitalOcean. So we split it. We split our deployment between the full stack app is deployed remotely on one server, and then our database, our PSQL, database is deployed on a different server. So we used for the full stack application, which again, I think as discussed in our architecture, the front end files are in the build folder, which are just static files. They are served by the Express server because the front end and the back end is all in one directory. So we uploaded that entire full stack app here we used DigitalOcean's app platform. It works great. It was actually super easy to use. Gives you your URL right here that you can go to, and that's where the full stack part lives. And then we also deployed our PSQL instance remotely here on DigitalOcean in this this database cluster. I won't click into it because I think there may be some sensitive information in there, but effectively this full stack application, the front end, which is powered by an Express server, living remotely on DigitalOcean's app platform, can talk to, send requests, and receive requests from the database, I guess the remote PSQL instance hosted on a separate server on DigitalOcean as well. So that's how we deployed this, and it worked really nicely. I'm a big fan of DigitalOcean. Everything was super, super easy to use. Some of the challenges that I experienced, I think getting used to using environment variables was a bit of a challenge initially, but once I dove into it, and really try to thoroughly understand how they work and how they can be beneficial, they're super powerful and super easy. And actually, one of the big benefits and why I chose DigitalOcean is because in their app platform over here, again, I won't click into it because I don't know if there's sensitive information in here. I think this one's actually okay, but within the app platform, there is a section in settings. Let's see. Well, maybe this probably isn't the best to give you all this information, so I won't scroll down, but there's a section in settings that has I think it's like app level environment variables, and you can literally just upload your .env file to that section on DigitalOcean, and it will store all of your .env all of the env variables that you need in order for everything to connect right there. So that was super great, super challenging in the beginning, but once I figured it out and found a service that made it easy to work with, super rewarding and super efficient. What else can we talk about here? What additional features did I build? That's a great question. I actually wrote down a few. So I think the first one is, again, instead of using a document database, I decided to go with a relational database, which is hosted on this is hosted on DigitalOcean. The remote PSQL instance is hosted on DigitalOcean. So that was one of the additional features. Some of the stuff I added a lot of input validation on which I think we kind of already talked about on the account balance page. So let me just go there to show you. For example, like you can't just enter something without selecting deposit or withdrawal, which I liked because it's super intentional and kind of dumbs it down for the user to make sure they know exactly what they're doing. I also did it because I don't like negative numbers. And this functionality, these features work really well with limiting or with eliminating the possibility of using negative numbers. So we have please select deposit or withdrawal, deposit, -10, sorry, -10 complete transaction. Please enter a positive number, right? 10 complete transaction. And then again with withdrawal, if you try to withdraw more than you have in your account balance, we have this nice little input validation here, which responds back to the UI with insufficient funds. Those were all some features that I really liked. Oh, what else? Yes. So what additional features did I build? In my schema for my users table, which is where I actually didn't wound up not using this transactions table. in the schema for the users table in our database where we have all our persistent fields, I use this, wound up using this serial pseudotype as a component in the ID column, which was super helpful to shorthand what would otherwise be needed in terms of components to make the value of the ID column an auto incrementing integer. Um, and also what serial does, I think it includes like a not null constraint so that the ID column cannot be blank. And then I also included this primary key component here, which I think is actually a constraint also afterward, just for a little bit extra validation, even though, serial is auto incrementing, just to make serial includes an auto incrementing sequence, just to make sure that this ID is unique across all the rows in the database. So I think that covers it for that. I'm gonna try to make this one short because I appreciate you guys bearing with me through the first two videos, which were a little bit longer and really kind of showed like the meat of the application. Reflection totally is great, and I already kind of have, I think, been reflecting as we've kind of gone through these three videos. But I think the first thing that I would do just to make this more scalable, and I think I talked about it already, is I would separate and pull the front end functionality out and put it in some kind of a webpack, use a webpack to compile it and run it on its own server. So it would be hosted separately from where the Express server is hosted and run. And then you can set up environment variables there in your front end also. Have it run on like a Next.js server or something like that, or use Next.js to compile the data. I just thought separating those concerns definitely helps make these applications more scalable. So I'd certainly do that for next time. And what additional features would I build? Well, I kind of started building it already, but the next thing that I wanted to do here is include this transactions table. So I ran out of time, but I really wanted to include a new component in here called transfers. So when you would navigate to here, you'd have like another little nav bar over here that you could choose between transferring and what do we call this? And like account balance, for instance. So what it would allow you to do is transfer, instead of just depositing, withdrawing money from your own account, it would allow you to transfer money between your account and another account that exists in our persistent database here, right, at our bad bank. So like mpro@gmail.com could send money to bproetto@gmail.com. Zio@greekgod.com could send money to justproetto@gmail.com. And every transaction would, update the balance respectively of each individual in the database. But it would also, and this would be the cool part and why we have this transactions table, would also keep track of the transactions table would also create a new row for every transaction that took place with these three columns that would say who it was from, who it was to, and the amount. So you can start getting a more sophisticated application here, building a more sophisticated application and scalable application to include more and more of the things that you typically see in a mobile banking app. All right, well, I think I'm going to conclude there because I'm sure I'm over time like I am on every single video. But again, I really appreciate it. Really hope you guys enjoy my submission and like what I put together. It was super rewarding. I learned a ton. Really happy I put the work into it that I did, and tried to make sure that I was fully understanding everything that I was doing instead of kind of just like skimming along and brute forcing things in order to get them to work, because that's how you take things away and kind of stick them in your toolkit and allow yourself to continue to grow as an engineer.